So this evening, Books and Books is very happy to welcome Chef Dale Talde, presenting his new book, Asian American, Proudly Inauthentic Recipes from the Philippines to Brooklyn. Yes. Tonight he is going to be in conversation with the lead food reporter from the Miami New Times, Ms. Lainey Doss. Please welcome Dale and Lainey.
Hey everybody, thanks for coming. I'm Lainey Doss, lead food and spirits reporter for Miami New Times. And in case you didn't know Dale Talde's background, let me just take a moment and give you a little bit of a rundown on this young man's accomplishments. Dale has no accomplishments.
None,
No.
zero, exactly. Say that and then just move on. And you're like, let's give you a little of his accomplishments.
Forget that. No, seriously though, Dale Talde's first sort of food remembrances are growing up in Chicago. His book that just came out describes, actually the first sentence is that there's a pig head in the oven. And that refers to his aunt and his mom, who were Filipino, just really trying to keep traditions alive and cook as best they can recipes from their home country with whatever they could get in Chicago, which really was substituting Spam for good sausage and canned sardines for some fresh fish.
Sure, but it was also like, not being able to get Filipino vegetables here and having to deal with like shitty tomatoes because you're in Chicago and you can't get good tomatoes out there. Or you're at the supermarket and you can't get good tomatoes. And so, because you would just grow good tomatoes, and then here you can't really. So it's a lot of that kind of substituting.
Then you talked about your mom doing illegal stuff to get good
produce. Mad seed smuggling.
Yeah.
She was like the fucking Escobar of the Filipino vegetable trade. But she would like, you would always come home and there would be like a nondescript napkin kind of bunched up and I'd like go to throw it away and she's like, don't throw that away. I'm like, why? She's like, oh, there's some seeds in there from the Philippines. I'm like, I didn't get it. Obviously you're like, when you're a kid, you're just like, this is so weird. But then now, like I come home and it's like totally makes sense. It totally makes sense now.
Right. Now, when you were growing up, I know that you described your mom cooking fish heads. Your mom, everybody liked heads for some reason. Your mom liked the fish heads. Your aunt liked the pig heads. They were cheap. It was good. Now, there was a scene, and I'm going back to this scene, my big fat Greek wedding, where like Tula has like moussaka in school, and everybody's like making fun of her because she doesn't have the bologna and cheese sandwich. Did that happen to you, like when you were a kid?
We were kind of left to our own. My mom worked the overnight shift. My dad worked like 12 hours a day as a Boilermaker. And we were kind of left to our own. You want to eat, you know where the food is, pack yourself a lunch. There's no excuse for you not to eat. If you're telling me you're hungry, there's tons of food here. Figure it out. I made dinner last night, so there's obviously food here. There's rice. And then there's always sandwich meats and bread. So like we went that route. I think out of pure laziness, I just don't want to pack something and carry it with me, like Tupperware and forks and stuff like that. Excuse me, but no, we didn't really do any of that kind of stuff at school. My mom was always like, hers, sign you up for lunch, school lunch. That's what my shit was, school lunches. So like the square pizza and tater tots and like.
That's delicious.
Yeah, and like everyone was like, oh, don't eat the meatloaf. And I was like, oh, that's pretty good, man. I like meatloaf. It's just fucking good. I like it. And people were like, like a lot of people, it was my introduction to like white people food. For real, it was like, this is white people food. This is what white people eat. I dig
like
on this because at home.
Milk and like sort of ill-conceived meatloaf. And that was your entree.
And like shitty mashed potatoes and like crappy gravy out of a packet. But like I had never eaten this stuff before, so I was like, oh, this is dope. I don't know if people talking shit about this. Like I like this. And then like we would Jimmy rig our own kind of like, so they would do like this rice soup, like this chicken rice. You know what it was? It was like that Greek soup. the chicken with
Yeah,
the
with the ouzo.
yeah, the chicken and
Right.
lemon. And I was like, man, this tastes like arroz, like a Filipino dish called arroz caldo. And once we kind of got into it, everybody in school, like when that day happened in high school, all the Filipinos got it. Like we were like, oh, they got that Greek rice soup.
They got the good soup.
Yeah, so just grab some lemons and it's like tastes like arroz caldo. So then you would see these tables of Filipino people like eating this soup, and I was like, we would manufacture taste of home, or they would. But like me eating cheeseburgers at school, like I never was allowed to eat cheeseburgers. Like it's just there was food at home.
Right.
That's what my mom would say.
And so that sort of like was your treat, right? When you
Uh-huh.
had junk food, American junk food, like the
100%.
hot dogs and the burgers.
That was like that's what I was another introduction into like, for me, we weren't allowed to have that food. So when we started making my own money, I was like, I don't want to eat at home. I'm going to go eat buffalo wings. I'm going to go eat some pizza and we're going to go to Wendy's and crush a spicy chicken. So that's like my food references are very fond of that. While other people's were like, I don't eat that because my mom didn't know how to cook, and that was our dinner. She just gave me $20 and told me to go figure it out. And I was like, damn, that's so cool. He's like, no, it's not. It sucks. I was like, it was very, very specific moment where this Jewish American friend of mine, Sean, was like, your mom cooks every day. I was like, my mom cooks like 3 times a day, bro. Like, I don't eat out. And he's like, that's dope. To me, he's like, I haven't had a home cooked meal in like 8 years.
Yeah, the
last time she made a home cooked meal, it was awful.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I was jealous of his life and he was very jealous of mine.
Yeah, the myth of like the Jewish mother sitting in the kitchen cooking, that
Yep.
didn't happen in my house either.
No.
Yeah.
Same
Yeah.
with him. They were
Don't have that.
his mother and father were terrible cooks. But it was very like I never heard it. Like I didn't even understand it. It's like you get to eat cheese fries every day. That is so dope.
Now, I feel like a lot of chefs have influences when they start cooking as a career and thinking of the culinary arts as a career. It's either one of two things. It's either because they have great memories of food at home, or like your friend, they have memories of like not eating at all at home and they have to fend for
And figuring
themselves
it out,
and
yeah.
cook and figure out how to do it. So were either of those scenarios yours?
Yeah, no, I mean my mom was a fantastic cook. She still is a great cook. I fell into cooking because I knew, like, for real, I try really hard in school. I tried really hard at school and like got like B minuses, and like I would be studying for hours and go in early and just getting B minus. I was like, this sucks. So I was like, like academics like is not for me. Like school is not for me. Sitting behind a desk definitely wasn't for me. So like, I liked working with my hands. I like being creative. So I was like, I like cooking. I like watching cooking shows. So I was like, let's try this. And my mom, I think, saw it in me. She's like, listen, I think she understood the capabilities of a child. Like, this dude is not the smartest kid in the world. You should go into cooking. You should try it. I was like, all right, let's do this.
But you went to like the most prestigious culinary school.
Yeah, but you know what? That's just like saying,
Well,
the reference I have is terrible, but it's like, the smartest of the dummies. It's like, cooking school is like, there is no, like, you could go to any culinary school as long as you have money. They're not saying, hey, your grades aren't good enough, don't go to culinary school. I was like in culinary school with junkies. Like, oh yeah, what's your story? Oh, I've been in rehab like 7 times and this is like my last way, this is it.
Yeah, but the CIA does not exactly at 2:00 in the afternoon do an infomercial like, are
No.
you a loser? Learn how to weld in your spare time. Like it doesn't, like it does have more prestige than that.
100%. Don't get me wrong. CIA is great, but I'm just saying they're not really strict on like what it takes for you to get into school.
Yeah, but they're strict on staying.
They're strict on standards, and when you get there, you have to apply yourself. That's the thing. You gotta apply yourself. But getting in is like, fuck it, man. There were people there that like, for real, like just this was it for them. And I feel like in cooking and with cooks, a lot of us are those last. This is the last for us. Like, I'm in rehab. I'm a violent offender. I'm a social outcast.
So let's play with knives and fire.
100%, because those dudes aren't doing background checks. Those dudes don't care. Are you gonna show up for work? Awesome. You know, our best cooks, our best dishwashers at our restaurant, or one of my restaurants was like, you know, in a row, these 3 guys were like, yes, I was incarcerated for a long period of time, and I'm of a violent crime. Okay, do you know how to wash dishes? Yes, I was in prison. I worked in the kitchen. Do you know how to wash dishes? Yeah. You know how this machine works? Great, you're hired. Start. Let's go. You know, and that's how a lot of kitchens are. It's like you need the body to do that. So it's like, and those dudes happen to be our best dishwashers.
So you're at the CIA, and you're with the most dangerous people in the entire world.
Not really, but
and,
definitely not like, dude, I definitely was like, you know, with at least 3 kids who are like in like 22 and 23, who I was like, oh yeah, you know, what'd you do before this? Oh, I went to UConn on a golf scholarship. Fuck, what the hell are you doing here? Oh, I got kicked out for drug use. Oh, then what'd you do? Oh, then I went to Central Florida for a golf scholarship. Oh, what'd you do there? I flunked out for some. I partied too much. Oh, so you should get. This was a very common theme amongst a lot of these kids that were like my age, and I was like, oh, like, what about you? I was like, I never went to school. This is it for me. Like, oh, cool. But like that's, you know, how a lot of these kids were. But yeah, I was in CIA, and you know, it was my first time away from home, so partying a ton, like smoking weed every day, showing up to class high, drinking a ton, and just kind of getting it out, you know, like partying. But you know, CIA is, you show up to class, you're probably gonna get like a C if you just show up.
Which, considering that you were a B- student,
Probably about average. It was like, yeah, right on par with my abilities, my scholastic abilities.
well, something had to stick there, though.
I loved it. Learning how to cook was awesome. Like, I was like, oh shit, this is how you make a gravy. This is how you make a roux. You know, it was very tangible. So cooking and chemistry and all that other shit that I was learning in high school that I just couldn't care. I couldn't wrap my head around the concept of like, there's these little atoms and they're running around and they're bumping into each other and all this shit. And I was like, I don't understand that.
But it's the same thing boiling water.
Exactly. So
right.
now it's like, okay, so you add butter, you melt it, and you add flour, and you stir it up, and that's a roux, and that thickens this liquid. Cool. Awesome. I know how to do that. Exactly. So like that to me was cool on an everyday basis, you know. And it's in culinary school, there's just a certain amount of like, everyone's competing to be the best, and it's like I love that. I was like, nah, you suck. I'll do that. I'll work meat station because you can't. You know, my knife skills. I'm better at knife skills than you are. So
now, speaking of competition, a lot of people in Miami have not eaten your food yet because your restaurant Talde at the Thompson Miami Beach Hotel is not open yet. It will be open in November.
Mm-hmm.
But people still in Miami know you from Top Chef.
Mm-hmm.
So season 4 was the first time.
I am a 2-time 6th place winner.
Yes.
2-time.
B-.
And then I did.
B-.
And then I did Top Chef duels, and then lost at that also.
So in your book, which is actually super funny, by the way.
Thank you.
You liken Top Chef to being in prison.
100%. 100%. You go on Top Chef, and they take away your phone, your computer, your wallet, your freedom, and you're stuck with like 18 other people that you may or may not like. You're literally you're in the same room. You're living with these people. You know, the first thing you ask somebody after what your name is oh, so where'd you work? So it's almost like when you're in jail, you're like, yo, what are you in here for? You know, and the guy's like, oh, you know, petty theft, murder, stolen car, this, that, X, Y, and Z. That's what, you know, in Top Chef, it was like, yo, everybody that was on that show was trying to bump their resume up, right? So they say, who'd you work for? I worked for Alain Ducasse. I worked for Jean George. I worked with Daniel Boulud, you know. And that's how you put fear in somebody, you know. Right. And then the private chef was always like, oh, I'm a private chef. And you're like, oh, you're a bitch. And you're gonna be my bitch. And you're getting kicked off first, for sure. So it's like.
So the cater chef shouldn't take a shower.
No, or drop the soap.
Okay, right.
Not good.
Now, so in that scenario, where were you in that hierarchy when you first started out? Like, who was the guy to beat or the gal to beat?
I mean, the first season it was definitely Richard Blaze, who had this ill resume, worked with Tom Skeller, per se, and
You were with a great group of people.
Very talented group of people. I think a lot of my first season ended up owning their own, has a bunch of their own restaurants and or businesses that they own, whether it be catering, whatever. But they're very successful. I mean, Stephanie Izzard, who won it, Antonia, Richard Blaze, Spike Mendelson, and he's opening up here
right
too.
down the road from you, yeah.
Guys who really grabbed the bull by the horns and said, I'm gonna fucking do this. Like, I'm getting on TV, I'm gonna put myself through this humiliation. I'm gonna get something from this.
Now, speaking of humiliation,
I do it all the time.
let's see.
Check out my Instagram
I actually wrote that
at Talde.
down.
You have to like frontal nudity.
That you had a dish that was infamous. Your
worse
butterscotch miso scallop.
You know what's fucked up too, because that dish worked.
Not according to Anthony Bourdain.
minus as much sauce as I put onto it. But we did that dish with pork belly, and I was like, yo, we worked on that dish before I got on Top Chef. I was at Budokan, and we're like, yo, we got to come in and pack, with these dishes we knew. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna work on this miso butterscotch sauce. We worked on it. It was banging. It sounds funny, but if you think about miso, all miso sauces have this inherent sweetness to it to balance the salty.
Right.
So pork belly likes sweet and salty flavors. Bacon, scallops do not. They do not like that. So scallops are inherently sweet. It didn't work, and yeah. I was behind the 8 ball that whole time.
Yeah, Anthony Bourdain called it, well, he said that your scallops were like felching Mrs. Butterworth. I had to write that one down. Yeah, I got that one, that's a good one.
So it was a melted candy bar on a plate. I remember.
But then you redeemed yourself.
Yeah, then I got back on and did fairly well. But yeah, I mean, it was an awesome experience. It sucks. It's hard. It's fucking hard. If anyone who doesn't believe it and thinks it's all like TV, go for it. I beg you to try and do it, because it is one of the hardest things you will ever do in your life. It's like asking somebody like, hey, cook for 300 people, use these 2 ingredients as your main dish, and you guys go, come on in. And then like, use these 2 ingredients, cook on the beach, start a fire, cook with a pair of tongs, and that's it. You got 2 hours.
Right, it's like Castaway.
It's hard.
There's like a fish, a spear, and a coconut.
It is
Make a dinner party.
Yeah, that's why for me it's like my business partner John was here, and we did a tasting the other day with my business partners to reconcept one of our restaurants. And they're like, are you ready? I'm like, I think so. And I kind of had things organized, but knew I'm only making 2 dishes of all this stuff. I can make it happen. So I came in and was like, are we firing yet? All right, cool. And we fired the food, and then, like, I'm running around like crazy telling my sous chefs I need stuff, and da-da-da-da. And then, like, it came up, and the food was great, and sent it out. And then my business partner was like, man, you nailed that, dude. Like, I was like, oh, thank you. He's like, was it hard? I go, yeah, dude, I really didn't have anything ready for that. And you're like, are you serious? I was like, dude, that's kind of that's my method. Is my method. But
because you said Top Chef proved to you that you could do anything.
For real.
After that.
Yeah, nothing's scary. Like you look at like a dining room full of people that are all hungry, and people are bitching at the host stand, and your line cook just punched the other guy in the face, and your dishwasher got arrested last night, and your delivery didn't show up until 20 minutes ago. It's like, we're good. Hey guys, we're good. Trust me, we're good. This is not going to be that hard. So it's like you get this you build up this confidence of like, yo, I can tackle anything. So you build a restaurant in 24 hours. Who the fuck, who does that? We're building one right now. It's taken us a year and a half.
Now, speaking of restaurants, I mean, you started out with Talde in Brooklyn, and you've got like a whole sort of cadre of restaurants. You have Talde in Brooklyn, Talde in Jersey City, Pork Slope in Brooklyn. I'm going to completely, like, let's see, Carino
provisions that we're in the middle of a reconcept, or we're turning into just a bar restaurant.
And so how did you go from like no restaurants to sort of like a mini empire with you and your
fucking
partners?
Luck, man. Luck. Blind luck. I don't know. I mean, we've been blessed to partner up with some really cool people. The Thompson, the community group. We had a vision. We had people who believed in us, and we just went for it. I mean, honestly, we really just, we worked hard, and we, you know, I don't take a salary. I'm not taking a salary right now. I get to work on other things that pay me, but I don't take a salary at my own restaurants. You know, you work hard and you grow. That's the way to grow an empire. I feel like to grow a restaurant group, you have to be selfless. You have to be willing to give up everything so the business grows as a whole, instead of, you know, don't look at financial gain for yourself, because that's the kiss of death. Shark Tank is, if you watch that show, it's very accurate. If you think you're gonna be rich as a business owner in the beginning stages of your business, you should look at the longevity of it. But the short term, you need to be willing to give up everything for that business to grow. That's the mentality we've taken. You know, we're hands-on. You know, we pick the plates. We work with our GMs and our partners on the music, the ambiance. You know, and I think people saw that we're real. We're not absentee owners. We give a shit about our businesses and we're there, you know. You know, a lot of times people would say like that celebrity chef bullshit. It's like, it is what it is, but I love people who are foodies because of all this, but at the end of the day, I hope you eat at my restaurants and you say, that was a good plate of food, and it was great service, and it was a great cocktail, and the music was awesome, and the vibe was cool.
So tell us about how Talde, like what is the experience going to be? Talde in Miami Beach is opening next month.
Yes.
Did anybody go to the pop-up dinner last night over at the Thompson Miami Beach Hotel?
Yeah,
Great,
you guys are working.
great. It was, there was some killer fried chicken. Yo, seriously. So beside the killer fried chicken, well, describe the killer fried chicken, describe what, tell people, entice us.
We were really trying to bring a Brooklyn, you know, what we do in Brooklyn, we're trying to bring here. That's it. I mean, and not that like, that, you know, not 100% that Brooklyn swag, but we're just like, hey, you wanted us to bring our restaurant to Miami, so we're bringing it to Miami. All the same menu items that are coming from Brooklyn are coming up here. I think because the kitchen's a little bigger, we're able to extend the dim sum, like a little of the dumpling section. But the same Korean fried chicken that's twice cooked in rice flour, kimchi yogurt and grapes. Our whole fish, it was Bronzino, but because you get such good access to snapper here, we're using a 2-pound snapper. But still with the mushu pancakes and a tomato turmeric jam. Our laksa. We're trying to bring like a late night vibe. So we're staying open late till 2 a.m. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Till midnight?
The bars open till 4 on the weekends.
Fuck.
There's no sleeping. There's no sleeping.
Sucks for you guys. No. But it's fine. I mean, we're trying to bring that. You know, the restaurant has a lot of, you know, nods to Brooklyn, and you know, we're in New York City life. The kitchen is manned by, or is headed by my executive chef Janine, who's been with me for like 8 years. But the food's really gonna. Hopefully, we're trying to just in the beginning just make it the same, because we love, you know. That's why the Thompson guys brought us into the project, because they love what we do in Brooklyn. So we're just trying to bring the same thing here. We'll extend the menu a little bit, and we'll kind of freshen it up and do, you know, some crudos and lighter. I mean, my food's never been like super healthy and light, and I know that that's kind of a prerequisite down here. So a little bit lighter.
Really.
I'm not healthy, but a little lighter. I mean, you know, you're not gonna pound, you know, our bacon oyster pad thai when it's like 90. Well, I guess you could.
No, you could. No, you could.
But we just want to.
We've got a lot of hungover people here, especially when restaurants like yours, the bars
sure
open
am.
till 4 a.m.
Yeah, I know.
The next day, we want a little bacon pad thai.
For sure. We want to do some cool late night things, like after 12 or after 11, there's this item and there's only 20 of them. Come and get it. Like a special late night ramen or a late night pho. that's only available late night, and there's only like 20 of them. So come and get it, you know, follow it on Instagram, and when it's done, it's done. It might be this ridiculous burger. It might be the dopest Philly cheesesteak you've ever had, but it'll be something, and something for people late night to eat.
That's another thing. Like your book and your food is very well. The name of the book has Asian American, proudly inauthentic recipes from the Philippines to Brooklyn. I guess you can add to Jersey City to
And
Miami Beach.
Yep.
But it's proudly inauthentic. So you've got, yesterday we had fried chicken with kimchi yogurt sauce that had no kimchi. We had bacon caramelized appetizers. Tamarind. We had a pretzel pork chive dumpling. So tell me about that, because I feel like that whole like growing up with the Filipino food at home and the American tater tots outside really formed your book and your food.
Sure, yeah. So, I mean, I'm a Filipino American. So I'm second generation Filipino, born in Chicago, raised in Chicago, and living in Brooklyn now. But if you ask someone who's native Filipino, who's from the Philippines, born and raised in the Philippines, they'll tell you that I'm a Phil-Am. I'm not Filipino. I'm Filipino American because I don't speak the language, nor was I born there. So there's a difference between that, and I was cognizant of this early on with my parents, of being around my mom was Filipino. So her friends would talk about us in the language, and I could kind of put it together, and that's what they were saying about us. So I understood it as like, kind of like you're different than us, even though we're the same people, right? We're same blood in our veins, but we're different people. So I understood that as I'm different. And then when I was in high school, I legit was in like a nondescript, like anybody who wasn't Asian was like, what are you? I'm like, oh, I'm Filipino. And they'd be like, I don't even know what that is. I have no idea where that is. So I was like this nondescript Asian person, right? So cultural identity was big to me young. And I think what we're, like I went growing up not understanding that I'm not Filipino, but I'm for sure not American. To a lot of these white people or black people, I'm not American. I'm just some Asian dude. So we were trying to, through the book and through food, I think I'm trying to capture cultural identity. Know who I am, realize who I am, and be proud of it. Because a lot of times I wasn't proud. Like I couldn't turn the TV on and say, yo, there's a Filipino kid doing his thing, right? There wasn't any of that.
Right.
It just wasn't. So I latched on to hip hop, American hip hop culture, watching basketball, watching the Bulls. So I had this very and I still to this day think I'm black. So like I gravitate towards that. So with the book and through the food, I think we were trying to like just kind of capture who exactly I am. And I honestly didn't, up until like 5 years ago, I was just cooking food and kind of reproducing bullshit, like making other people's food and all this and that and this and that. And until 5 years ago, until we opened our own restaurant, until we came up with Asian American as the classification of food, I didn't really know what my voice through food was. I was just cooking, and it's helped me, especially like kind of say, hey, yo, this is who we are. We are a new culture, a relatively new culture,
Right.
Of Asian Americans who are just now doing their thing, and everyone's like, oh, why is Filipino food just now? I go, it's not just us now. It's always been there, but you're seeing the 30-something second generations growing into their own, right? We're becoming professionals. If we're good at what we do, we're starting to get recognized for it, and that's why you're starting to see, oh, there's this boom in Filipino food. No, it's just those people are growing up now and becoming chefs. It's kind of a natural progression. In your mid-30s, early 30s, you become a chef, and you have a creative license to do what you want. And if your background is as a Filipino American, a Korean American, a Mexican American, you will do some blend of that.
Now you just said that, and that's kind of really smart that you, in your 30s, you've come into your own as a person and as a chef, and you've found your identity. in the news, there's a 16-year-old chef that's doing a pop-up that's charging, I think, $160 a plate
Yeah.
in New York.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think of that?
I'm not gonna listen. I'm not gonna hate, but like.
No, but you know.
But dude, it's like, I mean, honestly though, which is, I'm not gonna hate. I'm not gonna. I want to eat his food. I want to see what it's like. Because if it's like, you know, it's like, but you know what, his food, and I can tell his food, it's not what I want to eat. I straight up don't like. I don't want to eat food that's been like super manipulated and like you're using tweezers to put shit on food. I don't want that. Make me a fucking taco that tastes really good. I do. I love the gourmet experience, right? I love that shit. Like, you know, the fucking fancy shit and the swooshes and the foams and all that shit. Like, I could eat that, but like, dude, I just want a taco. We just ate a burger before I got here, and I was like, this is bullshit. It was such a bad burger. Like, we passed by Ruth Chris, and I was like, let's go eat there, dude. I want a steak. So, like, I could tell that dude's food isn't listen, I'm not gonna go to pay that. Because I know, one, I don't do well sitting for more than like 2.5 hours. I'm just like, I'm over this. I'm over this. Bring all the courses at one time. I'll eat it all like that, Filipino style.
Just put it in one bowl.
Could you just put it on the table all at one time? Because I don't know why you're taking so long to make all this food. I could have been done with this meal in like 15 minutes. It's sort of like this big. The bite's like that big. So like that's not my style of food, you know? Like I want a big bowl of spaghetti. You don't get like this without eating like that. You don't.
And food is subjective, right? I mean, how do you, I think, is it, if you try to please everybody, I think you're just failing yourself when
100%.
it comes to anything.
Yeah. Yes, 100%. I mean, if this kid, and not to harp on the kid, but if this is making him happy and people are paying for it, why the fuck wouldn't you do it? Let him do his thing. But I just know that that's not my steez. That's not what I like to go eat. You know, because if I went to go eat there, he'd probably never invite us back. Because I would be just loud and like there's so much time in between courses. I'd be getting drunk, and then all of a sudden they're just like, well, you guys can leave now. I'm like, all right, sorry. Sorry.
Now, speaking of that, you have called yourself, in this book, you've called yourself a lazy cook. And this book, by the way, is one of the few cookbooks that I'm like, I can make this. Like, I can make good tasting stuff. Like, I'm a food writer. I am not a chef. But I feel like I can look at these recipes and I can follow them.
We had to. JJ, my co-author, who actually made me sound relatively literate. He's like, yo, he would sit there and be like, and this would be like, he'd be like, does it need, you know, he's like, so if you can't get pearl lilies, what can you use? I go, you have to use pearl lilies. He goes, what if someone can't find it? I go, then they shouldn't make the recipe. And he's like, no, it's a good recipe. You should put it in. I was like, well, JJ, you're asking me to make the impossible. Then have Jesus cook for you. So he could just go, pearl leaves. But like, I don't know what to fucking tell you, bro. Like, I can't substitute this out. It's called perilla leaf salad. So he insisted that like, is it necessary to do that? Like the twice cooked chicken, he's like, do we really need to cook it twice? I'm like, JJ, it's what it is, bro. But we would go have these arguments about like, what it had to be. But it had to be friendly to the person who was actually gonna do it. And he insisted on it. And I was like, listen, dude, like I have a restaurant that the food is really, you know, not pretentious. So yes, if you want to make a substitution, this is where you can make the substitution. This is where you can. So it was a point of emphasis with the book, that people actually be able to cook out of this thing.
And a lot of the food that we ate yesterday, the recipes are actually in this book. So these are like working recipes. These are not just...
Oh, for sure. I wasn't...
It's not just like, I thought of this, but I would never cook this in my restaurant.
Oh, dude.
These are things that...
For sure. If I had to create, I wouldn't have done this if had the groundwork not been laid down. And he's like, oh, so creative. I was like, whoa, now I have to create a whole, like 172 new recipes? No way. I already have these recipes. I know they work. Let's cook out of these things because, you know, it works. But like the kimchi yogurt sauce, like the first original recipe I sent it was like 22 quarts of thick Greek-style yogurt, 5 gallons of Frank's Red Hot sauce, 1 pound of cardamom. And he's like, dude, nobody is making that much fucking yogurt sauce. I was like, okay. So we had to cut it down, but that, those recipes are just straight up the recipes out the restaurant.
But there are a couple of them, like there are some like easy shortcuts too. I feel like, do you know, like, I don't want to say this, but okay, I'm going to say it. Do you know semi-homemade? Mm-hmm. I feel like this is the
I'm like the
hipster,
fucking hood version of
like
Sandra
the
Lee.
Hood.
Sandra Lee hood version.
Yeah, well, can you just share your recipe for your homemade hot sauce?
Yeah, a lot of times people at the restaurant are like, dude, this hot sauce is so good. What's the recipe to your hot sauce?
What's the secret to
like,
that?
yo, it's mad easy. It's equal parts Frank's, Red Hot, and Sriracha, and you just put it you squeeze the two together and you mix it up and it's good. And they're like, no, it's gotta be more. I was like, no, it's kind of what it is. They're like, no. They're like, chef, your secret, I shouldn't ask anymore. I really shouldn't ask. I get it. Thank you for a great meal. I'm like, oh no, but for real, that's what it is. They're like, I won't bother you anymore. All right, dude, don't fucking believe me. It's cool. Like, there's mad hot sauce down there, like gallons and gallons of Frank's Red Hot down there. They don't believe me. They don't think it's that easy. I started doing that just as like, I thought Sriracha was too hot. I like heat, but like I like the bite of vinegar. So Frank's Red Hot is a ton of vinegar.
And you've said that everybody should be able to cook. Like a man, what did you say? A man should be able to cook a steak for his
wife, his girlfriend, or his mom's. Like, you got to be able to cook a steak. You have to. Like, that's like some dude I did one of these in Jersey City, and the guy was like, "Yo, Chef Dale, and I was kind of creepy. He's like, "Yeah, I just moved out of my house." I'm like, "Damn, how old are you, bro? 30? Yeah, man." He's like, "Yeah, which one of these recipes should I do?" I go, "Don't do any of these recipes, dude. Go get yourself a cast iron skillet, get yourself a steak, salt and pepper, and some butter. Learn how to cook yourself a steak. Every man should learn how to do that. Every man. I don't care your ability or like how much you love food. Cook yourself a steak. So if you're like out in the woods and you gotta kill something, you know how to cook it up on a fire. Honestly, that's like caveman shit. So I was like,
yeah.
Don't do any of this stuff. Get yourself learn how to do that, and that will take you so far, right? That will take you so far. A well-cooked steak.
Absolutely. And this is a big week for you, because not only are you in Miami for a pop-up, a book chat, but you are getting married next week.
Yep. How many people who are married? See, they didn't clap.
I did.
They didn't clap.
I did.
They're like,
My husband's watching.
Good luck with that. Good luck with that. You'll know.
No, it's fine.
I love it. It's so good. Oh my God, it's so fun.
She's watching, so just tell her how much you love her.
Baby, I love you. No, it's just the whole process is a pain in the ass, but especially with the idea that you're gonna cook you're gonna set it up and prep your entire wedding. It's daunting.
Are you catering your own wedding?
The restaurants are, but I'm kind of prepping for them, so they have a busy week themselves. So it's a lot, especially when your wedding planner is just like, "Oh yeah, you owe me X, Y, and Z." It's like, what? I'm sorry, what? How much more do I owe you? They're like, "Oh, you're still under budget." I go, whoa, what? So you're writing fucking checks for like 20 grand, 30 grand. You're just like, it's a lot of Nikes.
It's a lot of Nikes.
It's a lot of Air Maxes.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when you said you're not taking a paycheck. That's
correct.
Going to be fun.
Correct. So buy the book, God damn it.
Buy the book, everybody.
Help a motherfucker out. Damn it.
And so you said like there are some things that are not going your way, like your brother didn't get his plane ticket yet.
Yeah, my brother just asked me, hit me. I called him last week. I was like, "Yo, so when are you getting in?" He's like, "We're thinking of getting in." I was like, "Bro, I've been engaged for a year. You have not gotten your plane ticket yet?" He's like, "Bro, I'm getting my plane ticket." I go, "Could you do me a favor and get your plane ticket, bro?" And he goes, "I am." And we don't fight at all, but that was like a little snip. It's like, you have to help me, dude. That is your job. You're my best man. You need to help me.
And so where are you going on your honeymoon?
Greece. Any suggestions? On Santorini. I don't even know. Athens and Crete. I'm going to Crete. I just let her set that up. I was like, listen, here you go. Here's some money.
I was gonna
Set
say
it
a
up.
lot of chefs plan their vacations on like eating missions.
100%.
Is this-
Yeah. I went to Japan like 2 years ago, and I set up 9. We were only there for 7 days. I set up 9 omakase sushi dinners and lunches in the 7 days we were there, and
Wow.
I straight up got like mercury poisoning because I like ate so much fucking tuna. I was like, I can't eat any more tuna. I gave 2 of them away, because when you make that reservation, you break that reservation, they already took your money. So I was like, oh my God. So I ended up giving them away because I was just like, I can't do it anymore. I need like some ramen or something. And it was crazy. Like when you go to Japan, you eat these super high-end 3-star, 2-star Michelin sushi places. They're serving the same food because they're only serving what's in season. So it's all the same fish. You're just seeing the same fish over and over and over again. I was like, oh yeah, this is skipjack. Okay, cool. Oh, octopus? Yeah, I know. It comes from the, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Uni, oh yeah, Hokkaido uni. Yeah, cool. It's like you almost get bored of it because you're like, I saw this like 4 times already.
It's like too much of a good thing.
It's ridiculous.
Like foie gras and like.
Oh, foie
20
gras, Toro again.
Oh, first world problem.
Yeah, for sure. Sure.
So if you could go, and then we'll open up to some questions. If you could go anywhere on a food mission, where would you go? Would you go to a specific restaurant or a specific country? Where do you want to go and eat?
Good question. Where would I want to go and eat? I am dying to get to China. We've been talking about this. We want to go to China and just eat my business partner and I, we want to go to China and just eat it up, get down. I will crush some dim sum. Crush dim sum. But yeah, like that's my sweet spot. I love Asian food. That's like that's my jam. I mean, I would do Italy. People are gonna shit on me so hard for this, but I swear to God, Italian food in New York City is awesome. In the States,
Yes.
Italian food. I'm sure it's so much better in Italy, but damn it, is it good here? You know, it's weird because it's like you go other places and it's like, I was in Chiang Mai and I was like, oh yeah, this khao soi is good, and then I went to Pak Pak and I was like, oh, this khao soi is really good. I was like, you know, it's experience, but definitely I think it's crazy, man. Is you leave New York City or you leave major cities like when I come to Miami, I have to get my rice and beans in here. I have to. And I love eating the food here. I think it's amazing. And then but then once I get on the plane, I'm landing in New York. I'm like, oh shit. I'm already thinking like, yeah, I'm gonna get that pizza I'm gonna get a slice from there, and maybe for dinner we're gonna do Chinese food, and I'm gonna get pork fried rice and an egg roll, and so it's like I'm already planning my day of, the food in New York is so good.
I agree. You're probably the only person beside me who did you're following me. Brooklyn to Jersey City to Miami.
Yes.
Bro.
Biters.
I don't know.
We're biters.
You're a stalker.
Crazy.
Okay. So let's take some questions for Dale Talde, better known as Stalker. Does anybody have any questions for Dale? Gentlemen?
Being that you're going to be in Miami, is there any chance you'll take any Cuban dishes and put your own spin on it?
100%. I love the idea of like, eating the neighborhood and eating the food around here, and then like incorporating, like genuinely absorbing culture and like saying, yo, I had this dope, ropa vieja over there. Can you put that in a bao bun? And, can you put it in a bao? Or you can take that ropa vieja and put it in a spring roll, and how does it taste? That kind of, like, to me, I love that, like, that mix of cultures. That's what we do. I mean, that is exactly what we do. Our whole cuisine at Talde is based on, like, eating out and, like, bringing it back, And not just dishes, like, just like the Joe's Stone Crab. There's something there for me, There's whether it's the style of service or it's how they present their crabs, there's something there. Anybody else?
Anybody else?
Yeah, I have one. Being a chef is such a creative project. How do you balance that with actually running restaurants, which is such a business-heavy?
I honestly believe you have to have great partners for that. Great partners, which I do. John Bush, Dave Masoni, the hotel that we're with, they're great partners. They believe in the project, and you can't grow unless you have people who are strong enough to lead the way when you're not there. So we built a great team. Some people who are crazy loyal, that we know understand what we do. That's how you do it. Because honestly, I mean, you put me in a kitchen right now and you say, Dale, expedite. Trying to like run the kitchen right now, like make a schedule for the I don't fucking know how to do that. I honestly would just look at it and be like, hand it to somebody else and like, you do this. I cook. I make the food. You guys do the rest of the stuff. You tell me what you like to cook and we'll talk about dishes together, but you do all that other crap. I was never good at that. I make food. That is my role in the group is making food and make it delicious. Not always cost effective, but delicious. Not always healthy, but delicious. That's how you almost have to have this obsessive compulsive. You have to be that obsessive compulsive about it. Like, I don't have a lot of hobbies. Sports, I have a dog, my family, and restaurants. That's it. Like, I'm at home, I'm watching food TV. I'm, watching movies about food or watching SportsCenter. That's it. Like, that's just that's my life.
Can you talk a little bit about your creative process? Like, how do things come to you? Do you have a dream about food? Or do you
I had one last night. I was like, what? I swear to God, I had one last night. Fuck, I forgot what it was. I was just sitting there like, oh, we should do that. No, it's usually like I'm eating. I'm just out eating. Straight up. It's usually just like I'm out eating and I'm like, or I'm walking by, passing by something. In New York, it's very easy because all the shops are right there and you have to walk a lot. So my old job, I used to walk through Chinatown. I walked through a really old part of I was in the Lower East Side. Mm-hmm. So Russ and Daughters was right there. Mm-hmm. So I would either have to get off at a Second Avenue stop, or I'd walk over to in Chinatown to BD off of Christie. So like that walk, you're walking and you see for Thanksgiving, it's funny in New York City, the Chinese restaurants, they barbecue turkeys for the whole week of Thanksgiving, and then they hang them in the shop like they're roast ducks, like the roast duck and the barbecue pork. So then in my head I was like, okay, let's do a turkey ramen. It's just like, I looked at that turkey and I saw somebody slurping noodles right next to it and I was like, there it is. I made the connection right there. So now so for Thanksgiving in Talde, Miami Beach, we're doing a Thanksgiving ramen special for the whole month, right? It's big bowl of soup, feeds 2 people, but it's basically Thanksgiving in a bowl. Pickled cranberries, the tare that you usually season a ramen with is a mushroom gravy tare. The wontons are cream spinach. They were putting like these little croquettes of stuffing in it. And then we're slicing, or we're confit turkey legs, and we're putting confit turkey leg on.
Oh my God, that sounds like the best thing ever.
And then ramen noodles. So like that's how it just happens, I'm not saying it just happens, but no, you connect the dots, right? There's a dot there, and then how do you put the 2 together? And that's usually how my process is.
And how do you feel like when a food critic is coming to your restaurant, and don't you feel nervous?
If we can catch them, Peter and Chris,
Working on it.
then yes, we are nervous as fuck. We are very nervous. Not nervous, but you know what? You do what you do. You just got to do it. You just do what you do, but you got to do it at the best. Don't make mistakes. Just do what you do, because if you believe in what you do, it's good, then just do what you do. And it's like she said, food is subjective. What's not subjective is I waited 45 minutes for my appetizers because they forgot I was there. That's not subjective. Those mistakes can't happen. And especially, they can never happen in a restaurant, but especially to that table. But you just do what you do. And what I've learned is, I'm not even the best cook at my own restaurants a lot of times. That guy who makes the king crab fried rice 45 times a night is probably gonna make it better than me because he does it every night, right? So I tell him, make 3 orders and let me taste one. You pick the best one, you give it to him. Cook 2 of those fish off, let's pick the best one, make sure to get to the table. That's our process, if we catch him, which we hope to. But otherwise, you just do what you do. You hope for the best, that what you're doing is good enough that they enjoy it and like it and understand what you're doing.
And it should be that a food critic gets the same experience as anybody else. So
Yeah, but that's bullshit. That's complete bullshit. They're not getting the same experience that you are. I mean, Steve Kuzo, who's a New York writer for The Post, he doesn't wait. So he calls and says, "Hi, I'm Steve Kuzo. I'm going to review you on this day. Can you make sure I have a table for 4?" Cool. We knew he was there. He walked in. He's like, "Oh, yeah, I'm here with Eric Repair of La Bernadette." I'm like, "Oh, you motherfucker. Cool. Yeah, here you go. Have a seat." And then we fed him, and he raved about the food, loved it. And we're like, that's awesome. But, you know, food critics here, here's his fish. Go get that fish. But, you know, it should be the same experience, but it's bullshit. It's not. It's not, and it's kind of sad because it's so heavy, you know. Stars mean that much. They mean a lot. They mean a lot. If it was just a review, it's just, you know, I'd rather it just be a review, no stars. But it's not. The reality is you get graded, and you know, if you have to get a good.
So he called up.
Because he calls you. He always does. He always does. He always does. And I don't mind that. I don't mind that because it's like, I don't know, when they're just like, oh, you know, trying to be hidden and shit. I'm already bored. I'm already bored. I was bored with this menu a long time ago. But that's the thing, is you're not cooking for yourself every day, right? You're cooking for everybody who hasn't tried your food. I can't tell you how many times I've tasted Korean fried chicken. But I ate it yesterday. I ate the shit out of it yesterday, and I was like, this is really good. But you're not cooking it for yourself. You're cooking it for everybody who hasn't. And I realized that as a business owner, you can't. So I pulled the kale salad off of our menu a long time ago. I pulled it off and put this dope spinach salad. I thought, oh, it's going to be a killer spinach salad. You're going to love it. We went from selling like 30 of them on a busy night to selling 10. And then someone emailed on Facebook, it's like, I'm not coming back until you put the kale salad back on. I was like, all right. And that, to me, there's a measure of success there, right? There's a measure of success that this person says, I love your food enough, so much that I come there that often that I'm telling you I'm not going to be back until you put it back on the menu. I was like, all right. And to me, that's when I understood that, like, you have to stop cooking for yourself. Who cares if the menu hasn't changed? Change things seasonally, change garnishes. The Korean fried chicken is always going to be Korean fried chicken. Has to be. People come for that. The pretzel pork and chive dumplings, they have to stay on the menu because people love them. But whatever is up for grabs is up for grabs. So other menu items that like aren't the top, the ones that aren't moving, those will rotate. But that's what specials are for. That's what, like, you know, special tasting menus. That's when like special nights happen. Like we're doing Kamayan night in Jersey City. We'll do one of these nights here where you do like a family style dinner. You put rice on the middle and you put food everywhere, and it's supposed to be a communal dining experience and you eat with your hands. But we're gonna do one of those but it's just like no picking. You walk in and there's just a ton of food and you go at it. That's like ideal for me because I could be done in like 20 minutes. Speed eating. That's the new rave, and that's the new shit in culinary. Speed eating. How much can you eat in this period of time?
Great, you just put a timer on the table.
Yeah, ding! Peace, bro. Okay. Cool.
That'd be awesome. That's a way to turn over tables.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes.
Other than having a place to go when you're knee deep in snow, what attracted you to Miami?
I opened up. I helped Steven Starr open up Makoto up in Bal Harbor, in the shops at Bal Harbor, and I honestly didn't spend much time in South Beach. I spent it in the other neighborhoods, and was like, realized, you know, minus the craziness of South Beach and kind of Miami Beach where we are, this is like, it's a, you know, where we are up there, it's like a sleepy beach town. There's a lot of culture there. The weather is so amazing. But like you saw food opportunities here. Like you start eating the vegetables and the citrus in the winter and you're just like, dude, there's no way New York is tasting that. It just doesn't. It can't taste like that in New York. It just can't. You're not getting citrus that fresh. You know, when it's summertime here and you guys are popping with vegetables, you know, Michelle Bernstein, I walked into her cooler and was like, oh my God. Like I was just picking at like vegetables, and I don't even freak out about vegetables. I was like, that is a damn tasty radish. It's like, yo, it's like a couple miles away from here, there's a farm they grow for. So I'm like, are you serious? Those opportunities don't happen in Brooklyn, you know, and they just don't. You know, you have to go through, you have to jump through so many hoops for that to happen. When I came here and we were, you know, kind of in the midst of talking with Commune, and I walked into what our kitchen is now, but it was their prep kitchen, Michelle Bernstein's prep kitchen before. They were like breaking down a whole lamb and like putting it in a cajachina and slow roasting it. And I was like, you can cook with that here? They're like, yeah, we just put it in the backyard. Those opportunities you don't get in Brooklyn, where you can just wheel out a cajachina, throw coals on something, and 4 hours later have this awesome slow cooked, you know? There's so many things you can do here that you can't do in New York City that it's just like amazing. But like they were telling us where the lamb came from, and I was just like, they're like, yeah, it was slaughtered like a couple days ago. I was like, oh my God. And then you tasted it and you knew what that, you know, and I'm not a freak about like being super local and all that shit, but you tasted this lamb and you're like, that thing lived a good life. As you're eating it, you're like, that thing, this guy, happy lamb. But yeah. And you got the weirdest fucking hot dogs here. Like those Peruvian hot dogs are just so bizarre.
Did you have the one with the fruit on it?
I won't do that. But I like the one with the crispy chips on it, like the little potato sticks.
Dried shrimp?
Ooh, no.
I'll take you.
Dope. They put mad mayo and guac on it, and you're like,
Yep.
all right, I'm down, I'm game. Game on.
Okay,
Cool.
great.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
All right, folks, so if there are no more questions, a quick reminder to our internet audience watching at home. There's still time for you to call the number on your screen, and we can ship a copy of Asian American wherever you are in the United States free of charge. For those of you here in the house, we have the book for sale at the counter in the front room over there. Chef Dale is going to be signing over there at the table to the left of the stools. Also, please note that it is Wine Down Wednesday here at Books and Books. Every bottle of wine, every Wednesday night at every Books and Books cafe is 50% off. So I want to thank our guest interviewer, Lainey Doss, and please give, and please give another hand to Chef Dale Talde. Thanks very much. All right.